it was just a set of strip meadows, and when I'd got up in there at the end, and it was just a highway of just trail tracks and bull tracks and just crazy nuts. And I'm like, well, why isn't I here? You know, I was like, God damn it.
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm here today with Talon Anderson to my left. Across from him, I got Cody Cunningham, and next to him, I have Heil. And these guys are going to tell us a little bit today about a couple awesome bull elk they shot this last hunting season. So we'll kind of chat about that and let them kind of share their adventure and their stories and maybe some tricks and tactics as well. But so yeah, and a little disclaimer, I happen to be hunting the same unit this year, and I kind of got my butt kicked in there, but at least you guys got some elk out of there. You guys knew what you were doing.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Knowing what we're doing or getting lucky.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's
it's
definitely lucky.
Well, hey, as they say, I take luck over skill any day. So, but yeah, you guys did awesome in there. And so thanks for coming and being willing to chat about your hunt. So
Glad to do it.
Yeah, and FYI, these guys are some young whippersnappers here. I've had them all here in school as high schoolers, being a high school teacher here. You guys all graduated last spring, right?
The
spring before.
Yeah.
All of you graduated together at the same time?
Yep.
Gotcha. So what are you guys up to these days?
Just working.
Besides killing elk.
Trying to kill more, but just working as much as we can, so making money.
Building up the money so then we can kill bigger elk.
Yeah.
You guys are all working. Any of you guys going to school at all or just working?
Me and him are in electrical classes, like apprentice classes at CWC.
Okay, awesome.
Online.
Awesome. So I always tell students, if I had to do it all again, I mean, things worked out great. I met my wife in college and stuff, but going in, studying to be an electrician or even a plumber, something like that, is probably what I would do now that I'm older and I kind of have the hobbies I have and stuff. Like for me, it's time off in the fall would be nice. Is it fairly easy to get time off? I mean, I know contractors, plumbers, they're at the point now, some of my friends that do that kind of stuff where they can take that time. I don't know if what you guys think about that or if you put any forethought into deciding to go into what you're going into.
It's hard, like, to get the time off. We were hunting a lot of weekends, and it was just every weekend that we could get up there, any day that we could get off together or separate. I mean, we hunted solo a lot, and going up there and fighting the timber and everything, and fighting time, trying to get up there after work, and a lot of it played into it like that with killing bulls and having the time to do it like that, because he killed it opening day of rifle, and he killed his in archery after, I don't know, I think it was a Friday night, wasn't it? And
like after work type of thing?
I think it was like, I think it was a Saturday.
Yeah, so, but I think we'd been up there for a while because we went on a big hike that day and left him on his own and played that card, and he got lucky. So we just, yeah, that was miserable.
So you guys put on some miles. You weren't afraid to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, and he got lucky half a mile from the trailhead. So
well, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
the story.
There was some skill involved there too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So kind of backtracking. Was this a unit you guys had applied for before?
I've drawn it 2 years before, but it was the year of the big storm that knocked all that timber down.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't end up killing nothing that year.
Gotcha.
But
just too hard to get around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
because
was rough.
this year I noticed that some of the main trails have been cleared, but holy smokes, man.
Yeah.
Not much has been, in my opinion, from what I saw.
Towards the end of the season, they were in there with chainsaws and horses, and they'd run all the way up a couple trailheads that we'd been using, and had cleared it completely out. And I was like, man, why couldn't you done that in the beginning? Because we were stepping over 10, we were all and just fighting it. But it kind of got a little bit clearer and a little bit easier as the season went on.
Gotcha. So Kobe, you'd hunted it before.
Yeah.
Have you two hunted it before?
I hunted it last year with my other buddy, and he killed a good bull out of it. I think he scored 331 is what
Oh, really?
we come out to.
Rifle or?
And yeah, it was first week of rifle season, and I'd hunted it every weekend of archery with him, and it was crazy. It was such a different year than it was this year, because like September 1st, the first day that we got up there.
This year?
Yeah, or no, last year.
Okay.
And we got up there, and there's 10, 15 bulls bugling around us. And this year it was hard. It was hard to get them started, and there wasn't like really a main rut like there was last year.
Yeah, that's good to know, because this is the first time I've hunted it in a long time. To tell you the truth, when I was back in high school, when I was in Green River, we could draw that unit pretty much, as I recall, anytime we wanted to draw it. Like the draw odds were like really good. And we could draw it. And so I hunted it a couple years with a neighbor that was kind enough to take me out with him. We archery hunted it pretty hard back in the day. We didn't know what we were doing. Like I look back now and I'm like, we didn't know what we were doing, but it was fun getting out. And I thank him for taking me. So I've hunted it, but it's been, a couple decades since I was last in there. And so every now and then I'd find myself in a spot where I would kind of look around. I'm like, I think I've been here. Like a lot of what used to be open back in the day for 2-track roads are now closed. And I would find myself walking on some 2-track that's been closed for years and pretty much grown over and be like, I know I've ridden a 4-wheeler through this meadow a couple decades ago. But I think that's helped the hunting in there. Because I think it's known to be a better unit now than it was when I was in high school anyway, from what I can recall. So did you guys party apply or individual?
It was all individual.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So you 3 drew. And then how many guys did you guys have in your camp? Like, because you guys had a pretty big camp up there.
So it was us 3, and then we actually met a guy up there. He's from California, had a cow tag, and he asked us to help move his stove, and kind of led into a friendship. And he come up and watched our camp. He was up there all month, and just watched our camp for us. Super nice guy. And actually, when he killed his bull, he bring us up dinner to the bull while we were quartering it out and everything. And he bring us dinner. It was like awesome. A good guy. Yeah, he was a super nice guy. So
that's awesome.
It was cool to meet people like that up there.
That's awesome. And you guys kind of shared a camp with him then?
Yeah. Yep. He I think halfway through the season, he moved into our camp for a while. And
nice.
He said he'd just watch over it for us because we were always working during the weeks and coming on the weekends. So didn't want anybody in there. But
and he was from California?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
So there's some good folks from California.
I guess. Yeah, he was a good guy. He used to live in Sheridan is what he was telling us. And,
really? Gotcha.
He just put in for a whole bunch of units and drew a deer tag here in Lander. I don't know how all the regions work for the non-resident stuff, but he had it had a couple tags, and I don't think he ever ended up filling them, but still keep in touch and whatnot. And
awesome.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool to hear from him.
Did you guys have other buddies up there now and then just kind of helping you guys scout? And
whenever we kill the bull, we have an agreement with all our friends that they got to come help us pack it out because we've packed their bull out.
That's awesome, man. It's good to have hunting buddies like that. That's cool. Yeah. But they weren't necessarily like in camp or helping you guys scout things out or anything like that. So when you guys found out you drew that area, did you guys spend much time up there this summer, or did you spend a lot of time e-scouting or anything?
Oh, man. In August, between me and Talon, he didn't scout it as much.
I didn't scout it at all.
Talon and I put on probably like 40 miles through August and put trail cams up, and we're just watching a few little bulls, but they were all high, like super high. We never had anything big come across our trail cams in the early season like that before the season and everything. But
so you put on some miles this summer then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went up there with Brooks, my son. I usually don't scout that much, to be honest with you. I just kind of look at maps and I'm kind of like, well, I look at water and terrain and I'm like, I know there are elk in that country in general, so this is where I'll start. This is like plan A, plan B. I don't spend a lot of time with feet on the ground, but this summer I kind of did. And it just so happened to be like the one time I didn't shoot an elk in the last handful of years is when I actually scout.
Yeah, that's weird how that works.
Weird how it works, huh? Yeah. But I actually put on, I think I made 3 big trips in there where I'd hike like 10 to 15 mile loops and then come out just to kind of learn the country and see it. And sometimes I was actually hiking way up above tree line, getting on top of those big granite ridges just to look over stuff. It's like if I could lay eyes on it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so that's possible. Like I have a tendency when I look at maps online, like my dreams are bigger than like what my legs can actually handle. I'm like, I can do that. I can go over that ridge. And then I get out there and I look at it. And I'm like, oh, never mind.
I saw a lot of elk up on that timberline this year. And I never saw a bull up there, but I saw a lot of cows filing through the timber and then to the rock ridges like that. And I don't know, just never could get on a bull in that type of stuff. It was always in the meadows and in the deep like that.
When I was scouting, I was blown away at they looked like elk interstates way up high, like right up next to those rocks. And I talked to another guy. He claimed he saw some really big bulls up in those boulders, like way up high on the ridge. But this summer I walked up when I was going up there anyway to get on top of the ridges, and I would see just like elk interstates. They were just hammered. I'm like, man, those elk are high, and they're like spending a lot of time up here. And I think they kind of had a tendency, at least what I discovered up there, was they were scattered all season. What I saw, I don't know what you guys saw, but they were way up high all the way down to the roads in the bottoms. Like they were scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Talon's bull, we had him on trail camera at first pretty high, and then where he ended up killing him was actually right next to our second trail camera, a lot lower than where we saw him first.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Because I've never bothered to set trail cameras for elk. I mean, I've always thought, oh, it'd be fun. It'd be cool. It's like Christmas checking trail cameras, like for whitetails and bears and stuff. But did you guys feel like those trail cameras can help you much? Like, can you pattern an elk, or do you ever see an elk with your own eyes that you've caught on a trail camera? Obviously, you shot when you saw on the trail camera. But in past years' experience, does it tell you that that's possible? Do trail cams help you with that? Just curious, because I've never used them for elk.
I wouldn't say they really help you, because usually those elk you won't see in the same meadow, or at least not multiple days in a row. They'll just like circle throughout the week.
Right.
But it is nice to know how much elk are moving through there, because a lot of different elk will move through the same meadow throughout a lot of, like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. It's
like they have a big pattern of movement type of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
At least you have an idea if the elk like that area, I guess.
It's good to see what's in there as well, like off the trail cam. It helped us out with that bull that he shot. I mean, we would have never known it until he was there. And when we got up to him, it's like we were walking back from hunting all day, and he was waiting at the top of the trailhead for us, and he's like, hey, I shot that bull that was on the trail cam last night. And we're like, well, we're like, no way. we're not ready to pack this out after our huge hike all day. And he just ended up
poor guys
just getting
lucky.
lucky.
You felt real sorry for him.
I did.
He was scared. He didn't think we were coming back.
Yeah, I sat up there for, I think it was an hour, and
really?
My phone was dying, and I forgot everything down with the elk where I left it. And so I was like, I'll just wait up there and wait for him to come up. And so I was just sitting there, and then I just watched the sun fall. And
come on, guys.
Yeah, it was probably 30, 45 minutes in the dark, and I was getting worried. I was like, well, I don't know what happened to them. They were gone all day. We planned an all-day hunt, and they had no service down in the bottom, so I had no way of contacting them. And finally, I just see flashlights coming up, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God.
That's awesome. That had to have been a good feeling.
Yeah, it was a really good feeling.
Do you guys carry like any sort of like inReaches or any of those satellite communicators?
Well, being young like we are, the price of those things, they were a little bit more affordable. It'd be nice, but we need to get some, because being back in there and not having a communication way is kind of scary on that standpoint, especially if you're by yourself. And, it'd be nice to have it, and good fail safe on that standpoint. Yeah,
and that's the main reason I ever bought one. I bought when it was DeLorme inReach before Garmin bought them. I still have the old school version. And I bought it because I spent so much time hunting solo in grizzly country. I was just like, it'll give my wife peace of mind back home, and if anything happens, at least I have that. So that's why I got it. But that's a good way to communicate for sure. But like you said, they're not super cheap. So
yeah.
And you guys being young, your finances might be a little more limited or whatever, but you guys still kill elk even without all the fancy stuff. So, well, awesome. So just backtracking a little bit again. So you guys did some scouting, you set trail cameras, you kind of learned the country. Did you guys have much help? Now you said you'd hunted it before, obviously, 2 years ago. You'd hunted it last year. So you guys kind of at least had an idea going in, kind of what to expect. So
it was cool. He'd showed me trails that I'd never took, and it made it so much easier to get into the country and into the premium meadows, as we'd say. And we'd get up there, and he's like, "Hey, take this one instead of walking through the timber where you're going," and
Right.
It helped out a lot and cut off a lot of time in the mornings because you're trying to get up to that meadow before it's light, and
Right.
trying to wait on them. And
right, because that people who are listening to this, they can't fathom how horrible the deadfall is up there. I've always kind of considered myself kind of a go-getter. I'm like, I'll go. Like, people are, oh, there's lots of deadfall in there. I'm like, that's all right. I'll go over it, through it, whatever. But it wasn't until I was scouting this summer, kind of cutting perpendicular to those drainages. A lot of the quote-unquote trails that are walkable run parallel to the drainages. I was making big loops, so I was walking perpendicular up and over ridges and across creeks, and holy cow, I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the advantage that you gain by finding those little nooks and crannies, those little hidden paths that'll get you access, because otherwise you're going a fifth of the speed and it takes forever to get anywhere. But if you can find those little paths and stuff earlier in the season or through your scout, and boy, did it help a ton once I started finding those things. But yeah, it is terrible country. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago they had a big windstorm up there?
Yeah.
Was it 2 years ago?
I think, or it might have been 3 years ago.
Okay, it might have been 3. But yeah, it absolutely annihilated those trees up there. And what's crazy is the distance that it actually affected. I mean, it's crazy. It wasn't like a little microburst right here. It was
all
Is it everything?
yeah, and crossing unit boundaries. Did you guys notice that a lot of the deadfall was leaning down or laying downhill? It was all that wind came from up on top of the ridges down, which just seems odd because it's opposite direction is what way the wind usually blows up there.
Yeah.
You guys get up there. Did you hunt opening day archery then?
Was it opener on a weekend, or was it?
I don't even remember.
I want to say we were up there on both opening days for
we were.
archery and rifle, and I think archery we all were up there at the same time, but he'd already filled out, and I had to work on the opener of rifle, and then I get a call. I'm like, oh, we got to go pack out this bull that's way back in there.
Right. So what was your guys' normal approach? Would you guys usually hunt one guy solo, 2 kind of grouped up, or how much did you guys all spread out, hunting by yourself, just covering country?
So it was kind of like that. Me and Kolby tagged along for most of archery season, and then I think we were talking at elk camp that night when we got back, and Cody wanted to go with Kolby or something, and I was like, okay, that's fair. I've been tagging along with Kolby long enough. You can get some Kolby action. And so, I was a little bit nervous going in solo because I don't really do well. I'm kind of scared of bears.
Well, that's understandable. Yeah,
and
that's understandable for sure.
And it was the day that we, planned we have to be out all day because we've been, going in the morning and it was slow and
come back to camp, take a nap type of thing.
Yeah, and then going back out in the evening. And so that day we planned to go all day, and I think I lasted until 3 o'clock. And I was heading back. I wasn't getting into anything. Or I ran into a bull that morning, and I spooked it off, and hunters came in behind me. And so I was like, okay, I just, walked a couple more miles, and then I was got, tired of it and walked back. And I walked back to the truck, and I sat there for a minute, and just was it was one of those things where it's do I go back to camp and just walk or come back in? and just decided to go back in. And
So did you walk right up the same trail you just come down?
yeah,
So how long were you at the truck?
probably 2 hours.
Oh, really?
Because I figured, these guys are going to come back too.
Yeah.
But that was completely wrong.
No.
We
They
took
were
a nap
committed.
on the mountain.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a long day.
So you just kind of did different things. Sounds like most of the time somebody was at least paired up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Are one of you guys like the better caller, like the one that everybody wants to have with them because they call well?
Cody was probably calling better this year.
Oh, yeah.
Out of all three of us, he had the best bugles.
The bulls never really responded to it though this year.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like
That's what I found.
we'd got down in the meadow really early that morning, and big 5x6.
This was
bull.
archery season?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. We were
Okay.
still packing the bows, and we saw him out in the middle of the meadow, and we were kind of off in the timber, and I was like, we try and call him in. I gave him a couple cow calls, and he'd bugle.
Was this
And-
early in the morning?
very early.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and right at daylight, and we'd seen him out right in the middle of the meadow, and he yelled at me. He's like, "Hey, rip a bugle!" He's walking out. He's walking away, walking back into the timber, and I ripped it, and he's all, yeah. He's like, "No, stop!" Because he's still out in the middle, and that bull flipped a 180 and walked right away from us, like he'd been bugle trained or something. But
Really?
like, I want to say that was the best one I ever ripped, because I was like, I felt good about that one. He just didn't want any of it, man, and
Too
but,
mean.
Yeah, it was too mean. He's scared, but
It happens. So that's one thing that I found up there too. Man, I just couldn't call those suckers in with a bugle or anything, obviously. But I had talked to some guys that had been up there a while, and that's one thing I heard over and over again was the cow calls seem to be like the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found that it's usually all over the map. You just never know what a bull's going to like until you try it. But I've never found where, like, none of them want that bugle. Like, it's just like, cow call is what I heard. But
The first year I had it, I mean, almost every time, I was hunting with my dad back when I had it the first time, and almost every time he'd rip a bugle, we'd get one to bugle in, come in on us. I missed one at like 40 yards with a crossbow. It was the opening day of archery up there when I first had the tag, and he came like running in so fast. My dad, he turned around to go to the bathroom and ripped a bugle, and all of a sudden this one he was probably 150 yards away at first, and just a mean old bugle, and that thing was up like at 30 yards in seconds.
oh, really? It just come rushing in there.
Came running in there.
Man, we were in the elk again. Kind of going back to my experience in there. Like there were a dozen times where I thought at any point my son Brooks is going to get a shot. Like at any point, that bull's 12 yards away, that bull's 20 yards away. I just can't. All he needs to do is step out. And I tried everything, and I could not get those things to give us a shot. It was crazy. And I never had any react like that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, there were certain situations where I'm like, okay, they're not coming out to this cow call, so they're close enough, though. I'm like definitely in their living room, so I might as well try to challenge them. I got nothing left to do. I'm just going to try it. And I would rip a bugle, and they might even be ripping apart a tree or raking something. Like I said, sometimes 20 yards from us, I can see the thing shaking. I just can't see the bull. And I would rip a bugle thinking they're going to – and one time I even had a cow walk past me, and I'm like, this is good. Now I got his cow. I'm thinking now he's not going to like that. And I'm sitting there trying to get this bull to come in, and my son Brooks is ahead of me like 20 yards. I'm like, this is perfect. And finally I got to the point, this cow's standing there looking around, and I'm like, well, I got a bugle. Maybe I'll spook her, but I got to do something at this point because he's not coming. So I'm standing there, and I just ripped this bugle, and that cow's just standing there looking right through me. And I'm not against any trees, nothing. I'm just standing still, bugling kind of down at the ground, and she's just looking around for me. And like, I can't believe that didn't spook her. And then all of a sudden the bull bugles, and it was like 30 seconds later he bugles, because I was waiting for him to come running in. But no, he's like 200 yards away. He's like, you can have her. He's like, I don't want anything to do with you or her. You can have her. He's gone. I'm like, gosh dang. I didn't know what else to do. But so, like I said, my experience up there talking to other guys, it was like cow calling was the way to go for the most part. Is that what you guys found then? Or was it just kind of nothing?
We never really found anything out, really.
Like,
Right.
I feel like they'd respond almost every time we bugled, but they'd never come in.
Right.
And that's why I was a little skittish when I, killed my bull. I was like, he's not, because I'd bugle, because it was super windy, and then every time it died down, I'd bugle, and I'd get a response. I'm like, okay, he's not going to come in.
Right.
That's how it was the whole archery season.
And I got to that point too, honestly, where I was just like, okay, yeah, the bulls are over there, but it was kind of a discouraging feeling. It's like eventually in the past I would have thought one of these is going to come in, but I got to the point where I'm like, they're not coming.
Yeah.
Like, and I tried like cutting them off, doing things where I'm like, I'm not calling at all. We tried decoys and raking, and I'm like, I'm just going to, and then up there, you guys know you can't sneak hardly anywhere.
No.
And if you're sneaking, they may not know it's a human coming, but they know something's coming, and their eyes are pinned on that spot because you can't get through that stuff at all without making noise. But that was kind of my experience too. So I'd heard that guys weren't having any luck, at least with bugles. And then the other thing I heard a lot up there was guys were saying, like the regulars, they said it was the most archery pressure they'd ever seen. And it kind of made me wonder if there was anything to that. Like, because these elk seemed to me like super educated. That's just how they come across to me.
Yeah.
And I wondered if it was like, does that area always get hammered, or is it that there's just a ton of archery pressure up there?
I don't know. We crossed quite a few people while we were up there, and we tried getting them bulls to come into a bugle. We'd cut them off, and they just quit bugling. And a lot of the time while we were hunting them, we'd just use a bugle as a locator, and we'd try and get up to him. Like that day that he'd killed his bull, we were back in the timber, and just sitting there all day, and this bull was bugling right back to us. And we finally we were like, man, he's got to be a huge bull, right? He's yelling at us, and we walked all the way up to him and got up. I don't know, it was like 60 yards from him, and he's a little 5-point raghorn, and just watching him, and he's bugling and has a couple cows with him, and we finally just ripped a bugle and see if he'd react to it, and he walked right away from us. And it's like I don't know if it was like part of the weather and the rut, or it was like people had trained him not to come in.
Yeah.
And because we never had any weather up there. Maybe there was a rainstorm, but
Right.
other than that, it was just hot the whole time, and we couldn't get him to come out of the timber.
And maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Weather. I've just never struggled that hard calling an elk. I've always had success regardless of the weather, time of September. I could find something that wanted to come in, but yeah, it was just kind of crazy this year the way it was working for me too. So it was September that you shot your bull? What day?
17th?
Yeah, it was halfway through September.
Yeah.
And
And you guys split up that day. You guys went on a big hike. You went out solo. Were you guys going into areas you'd already been into earlier in the month at all?
We were going a little deeper than we've been before.
Okay. And then how about that spot where you were? Had you guys been in that spot before?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like we walk by it every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Had you?
I got super lucky. It was one of those times where it was like, I don't really want to go, but it'd make me feel a lot better like tomorrow if I went. I didn't skip out. And
Like you didn't want to go hunt that day?
yeah, I was, because we went on such a long hike, or I did that day, that morning, and I came back, and I'm like, I'm just exhausted, and I was like, I have to go,
So this is when you came back to the truck for 2 hours, and you're just like, I got to go.
Yeah.
Or these guys are going to make fun of me.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And
So you went right back up the trail that you came down. That's awesome.
And I went back up it, but I didn't want to go down. I didn't want to go where I was at. So I was like, there's a pond that me and Colby spotted a bull in like a week ago, or a couple days even maybe.
Yeah, I think it was the weekend before.
Yeah. And so we saw a pretty big bull. That was definitely the biggest bull we've seen so far.
It might have been the same bull. We'll never know, but.
And so I was like, I'll just, sit there. And it was like 200 yards off the trailhead.
And
you think?
this is the evening at this point,
Mhm,
right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Tell them what you were doing.
So, I had service up there because I don't know what's up with my phone. You guys never had service, but I had service in the spot that I had. So the Tennessee-Ohio football game was on, and I got to watch that for most of
nice.
my hunt. And so I was just, basically screwing around and somehow got a bull to come in. That's what makes the story.
So were you like calling now and then, or what were you? Okay.
Yeah, I was watching the game and
you said it was
bugling.
super windy too, right?
Mhm.
And so you're just hanging out. So you're just cold calling.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Because it was like, just to hear them. It's so cool hearing those bulls bugle.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you can never miss a chance when you get to do that. So
Right.
that's why it was
point.
weird when he was actually coming in closer.
So how far away do you think he was when you first heard him? Way off? Like,
gosh, I don't even know.
but you weren't, it was not so close that you were excited at all. You're just like,
No,
that's
yeah.
just another bugling bull that's not going to come in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what time of day was that? Like, what time during the day do you think when you first started hearing him respond to you? What
I
time?
think 3 or 4.
Okay. So
Somewhere around
early.
in there, yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Weren't you shooting grouse too right before?
Well, it scared me, so
yeah,
it like jumped out and,
grouse will jump scare you.
Yeah,
Yes, they
there's
will.
that up there, like
Especially in
lion
grizzly
lines,
country.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, give you a heart attack. So you took it out on the grouse for scaring you?
yeah.
Yeah, I understand. By the way, a little side note, there were more grouse up there than I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Well, they're everywhere.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. So this bull, you hear him bugling. How long did it take him to kind of like work his way to you?
I bet you like the
Like
whole
a couple quarters of
Yeah.
the game?
No, not that much. Maybe a quarter.
Okay.
I bet you like the whole thing probably took like 30 minutes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Were you just bugling the whole time?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I threw in a couple cow calls in there too.
Nice.
Yeah, I was just kind of messing around because I don't know, like, I don't really know what to do when I'm calling, like what they like. Obviously, like, I guess nobody does.
You never know for sure.
Yeah.
You have your little, I always tell people, approach it, people that ask me about it, I'm like, approach it with a plan. When you're in a scenario, at least have a plan of what you're going to do. If it doesn't work, oh well. But at least you kind of have like a plan going into it, because you never know what's going to work and what's not going to. So that bull, it took him a while to get there, and you're sitting next to this pond. Is it fairly open, like around the pond then?
Yeah, so
How far away would you say it is, like from, are you just sitting the edge of the timber then?
yeah, so they have like a game trail on the edge of the pond. That's where we set Colby's trail camera.
Oh, okay.
And there was like a tree that was like right next to his game trail. I was like, I mean, that looks like a good spot. I don't know. Like I could kind of see through it. So I didn't know if he could see through it or smell me or anything like that. So I was like, I'll just give it a try. If I mess up, no big deal. At least I got into one.
Right.
And it paid off.
Sweet. So as you're sitting here and this bull's approaching, so I'm just trying to play out the scenario.
Yeah.
Like, at what point did you actually like start to realize that this might actually happen, and you start getting a little excited? Or at what point do you like knock an arrow and start to like get serious?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I could tell when he was getting a little bit closer, and I was like, that kind of, got into my mind like, oh my God, he's coming in here. And so I was in one spot. I was just, sitting on a log watching the football game, and I could hear him coming in closer. And so that's when I was like locked in and decided to switch spots. Like, he's going to see me. And I figured almost right on the trail, a little bit off the trail would have been a perfect spot because he was coming off that trail. And so I just hid behind the tree, and it was cool to see or hear because I couldn't see when he was coming in. So it was all blind. And
Which sometimes is for the better. What I found, especially with bigger elk, it's like just if you see them when they're like 100 yards out there, and you're like, oh my gosh, that thing's huge. I hope I don't screw this up.
Yeah.
If they just appear the first time you see them and they're like within shooting range, then it's like, okay.
Less time to get nervous.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that played a really big part on me
So
not seeing him.
So he never like came out into the open. Then he was just kind of coming through the timber the whole time. Then
He was walking on that game trail, and I was kind of off in the timber where like it was probably like a 15-yard gap on where I could see. Like he came in close. I bet you my shot was 15 yards.
So that's about the first time you saw him when he was like 15.
Like I had like a 5-second, look at him to see if he was, a big one. And what I wanted was, cool looking royals, like long.
Right.
And I saw those, and I'm like, okay, I want that one. And it was like a split second of where I didn't.
Were you at full draw when you saw him?
Yeah, because I just started bow hunting last year, and this was the first year that I've gotten into something where I could actually knock in an arrow. And I was playing in my head, like, when do I, put an arrow in? When do I draw back? I don't want to like tire myself out, and then he comes out. And
right, there's a lot to it.
But he helped me out a lot actually, because he came and he crashing through the pond and splashing water, and he ripped a bugle right in there.
Awesome. But could you see him as he's coming through the pond yet?
No.
But you could hear that? That would have got my heart going.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's what really got me going. And
that's so cool.
So I'm like, okay, he's here, and I could, it worked out so perfect, like where I was at, the game trail, and he came walking in, and I could hear his footsteps, like, doosh, doosh, and I saw a little gap in the tree that I was hiding behind of him walking in, and I pull my bow back, and I hear everything stop, and I'm like, oh, I just messed up, and I just, at that point, I, just kind of accepted that he ran off,
right,
and I just see him walking through that little gap that I had to shoot, and it was unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you shoot him while he was just slowly walking, or did you try to stop him?
No, he was walking.
He was close enough.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So, like, well, did you get, like, in the peep and, like, actually?
Yeah, well, so it was, yeah, it was every pin on the
vitals. There was no
yeah,
messing that shot up. That's so awesome. I joke about that because there's been times where there was a time where I was staring at a bull 6 yards away, and I was kind of looking at the one beam I could see, and I was like, dude, you got to get in the peep before you shoot, because I was like looking like down the side of the arrow. I'm like, I got to get in the peep before I shoot.
Yeah.
The excitement of it all. So that's awesome. So good shot, double long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could be more perfect. Missed both ribs, sets of ribs, missed them, went completely through it. It was crazy.
Awesome. How far did you go?
Oh, it worked out, like, this is what Cody was saying. It worked out perfect. He ran up like 120 yards maybe up where we were at, where the main trail was at.
So he ran uphill for you?
Yeah, he ran towards the trailheads.
It's meant to be,
it was
man.
Perfect.
It was meant to be.
It was awesome.
That sounds awesome. That's cool. Do you leave a good blood trail, or?
No, I heard him crash, but I wasn't sure. So I was looking off more to the right down in the bottom. And I look up, and I saw the brown body, and I was like, okay, that's going to work out. He's uphill.
That's cool. So what went through your head, like, after the shot? Was it just, like, shock, or were you like, these guys aren't going to believe this? Like, I'm sure adrenaline was probably dumping pretty hard at that point.
Well, it was more of, I hope they didn't didn't kill a bull, because then we're going to be packing 2 bulls out. That would have been cool, but, that day it would have been like, dang it.
It would have been a lot of work.
Yeah. But, and more of like if they walked far and they're going to be tired. Like when I walked up to them, when I found them, I'm like, I hope you guys didn't have like, a terrible time. And they're like, dude, I fell into a wallow, blah, blah, I about lost my leg. And I'm like, well, I hope you guys are ready to pack out a bull. And they're like, no way. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, where at? And I'm like 200 yards that way. They're like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, it's like right off the trailhead. They're like, you're lying. And I showed them the picture. They're like, dude.
That is so awesome.
It's pretty sweet.
Were they happy for you then, or were they just
yeah.
oh, man, I can't believe you did that to us?
Bittersweet.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
That's cool, though, man. That's great. So how long did it take you to pack them out?
Not long. We had our buddies come up there. We had 3 other people come up, and
then the guy from California brought you dinner.
Yeah, he bring us roast and potatoes. It was awesome. The best dinner I've ever had. I swear.
It was great.
That's what it's all about right there. That is so cool. So you guys were able to probably get it out in one shot with all your buddies helping.
Oh man. I
Took
don't
like
even
30,
think
40
I
minutes.
packed the back straps out. I didn't even pack a quarter. I don't think we loaded up the. We had one of our big buddies. He played football for Lander here, and we put him on with the big rear quarter, and he's complaining. He's like, "Oh man, this is taking forever." I'm like, you don't even know, dude. Like this is like half a mile. You should have been there for the other one, but. Yeah,
That sounds
it
like
was
the
awesome.
perfect scenario.
Yeah.
It sounds like literally just like perfect.
Oh man.
You got to watch football, got to take your midday nap at the truck, had some guy bring you steak and potatoes for dinner, had plenty of help. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was living luxury that day for
man.
sure.
I mean, that's what it's all about,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't get any better than that. To have
No.
your buddies there and
Yeah.
get to experience that, that's pretty cool. So after that whole scenario unfolded, were you done the rest of the season? Did you go up to help these guys during archery season after that?
Yeah, I took a few breaks, and it was, I don't know if it was the next weekend or the week after that, Kolby shot his bull, and that was the last time I went up there.
Yeah, probably.
And because mine kind of wore me out, and then I was going to
It's a
take a few
long
breaks.
drive.
Well, yeah, and it was, weeks and
is.
weekends and weekends and weekends of just straight getting skunked.
Right.
And I was kind of, just like, let me spend a weekend at home. And so I think the last time, it was like 2 weeks after I killed mine, Kolby got his, and we went up there. And
So you were back in there then.
yeah.
And I remember I passed you on the county road. You were coming out in your blue Chevy pickup,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going in, and I saw you as you passed. I'm like, I wonder if I should turn around and go talk to that guy. I didn't know it was you, but I was like, holy crap, that's a nice bull. I'm like, I should go pick their brain and just have them tell me about it, or I just wanted to see
Yeah.
it. And I thought about turning around. And I'm like, no, I need to get up here and start hunting. But I saw you driving out.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that was you at the time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you got to get it, perfect in the bed of the truck so everybody can see
Hey,
it.
it looked really good, just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. That's so cool. And then, Cody had sent me the picture like the day before of the trail cam pic of it. And then it's like the next day he sends me a picture of you with it. And I'm like, those suckers, gosh dang it, that's awesome. But so you guys continued to archery hunt, or were you just like, heck with it, let's come back rifle season?
No, I think we hunted archery the rest of the season. Every weekend that we could get up there.
But it was only
like one or
yeah,
two, and
right.
But honestly, it died out. It really did. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't bugles, so like it was crazy. We'd go up there one week, and the trees turned yellow, and the next week they didn't have any leaves on them.
It happened
When we
fast.
got up there, and it was a really switch, and we'd hear a couple bulls.
Right.
Nothing like it was in those nights where they were just bugling and they were all talking to each other like that. But it really quieted down towards the end of the season like that, and I think our plan was just to get lucky, sit in a meadow, and wait. And,
Just put in the time.
Yeah, and it worked out for him, and I still got another year of it. I'm gonna work my butt off to get one.
Right.
It's a really cool area. I appreciate it in that way. So.
Right. So when you guys went back, you said it was opening day rifle,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you were by yourself. Were you up there that day too?
I wasn't. I was at work, and
You were working. So you went up solo?
Yep, I did, because opening day was on a
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I had to get it off. I was like, no way I'm missing it.
So did you have a game plan? Like you're like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do.
Not really. I knew kind of the trail I wanted to take, but I didn't know exactly how far I wanted to go or what meadow to go to.
Right. So were you up there early in the morning then? Did you camp the night before?
I did.
Okay.
And then that morning, I went way back in there, and I was kind of late. I forgot my bugle and tube. Didn't have any food or nothing. So once I got way back in there, I found some meadows I haven't been in before that looked really good. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to head back to camp.
So
I'm
you'd
gonna
never
come
been
back.
in there?
No,
cool.
Not that deep. And there was wallows everywhere in that meadow. I was like, dang, I wish I was here earlier. But
Right.
then went back to camp, got my bugle tube, brought some snacks, brought only one bottle of water, and walked back in there.
Did you carry like a pump or anything like that?
A
Like a water purifier or anything?
I did not.
Okay,
I used to
just
have
curious.
one of those life straws where you can just kind of drink out of streams and stuff.
Right.
Don't know what
I was just
happened to
curious
that.
because I don't go anywhere without one because I drink too much. I mean, there's like I need water. I know guys that will hunt with like just one little water bottle that you could almost put in your pocket like all day and be fine. And I'm like, I'm drinking like 4 liters of water like in the first few hours. I'm like, I don't know how people do that, but
I regretted it a lot. Sucked without water.
so you got up there that evening then?
Yeah, got up there that evening to that meadow I wanted to get to, and there's a little rag, like 5x6, sitting in there, covered in mud, just kind of eating some grass, chilling out. And he must have caught my wind, because I was just sitting there watching him. And all of a sudden, he like just lifted up his head and took off up the hill. And so I walked out on the edge of the trees out in the middle of that opening, and I sat down and I was trying to make a call, and I hear some branches breaking. So I hang up the phone, and I'm sitting there, and I wasn't sure if I was really hearing branches breaking or not, but eventually some cows started filing in, and it was like a meadow with like just a line of trees and then another little meadow behind it, and you could see through the gaps of all those trees, and I could see those cows going behind those trees. And then like it sounded like an elk tried to bugle and messed it up, and then like 10 seconds after, ripped a full bugle. And I ran out to this dead tree and waited for an opening. I was just watching the cows go through, and then eventually I saw a bull come through, and I just tried to cow call with my mouth. It was a pretty bad cow call,
Well,
but
it's all right.
it
Yeah, you
stopped,
got to try something.
and I just let one fly.
How far was it?
It was only like 150 yards.
Oh, really? Nice. What were you shooting? Just curious.
7 MO8.
Gotcha.
And it was great.
Like how far did he go after the shot then?
I shot, and it felt perfect, but I didn't know because he turned around and just took off. And so I grabbed my stuff and took off that way and got over there. He's like dead 10 yards after where I first shot him at.
That's awesome. He died in a big wallow, didn't he?
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cold.
It was
They get the
cold. I
last
got
laugh.
soaked.
Yeah, that was a cool photo though of him
Oh, yeah.
buried in the wallow. God, that was a big bull too. Which one do you guys think was the bigger bull? The archery bull?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both awesome bulls though.
His had some mass, a lot of mass. Probably the massiest elk I've ever seen.
Oh, really? Yeah, they were both awesome. Definitely something to be happy with. So what did you do after you shot that bull? Did you because you must have had service. You were trying to make a call earlier.
I did have service right there,
I guess before I ask that, what went through your head? You're like, you've put in all this time archery season, and then boom, you have a dead bull. Like, what was that feeling like? Just curious.
It was pretty awesome. I was stoked. I had to sit there and admire him for a while. Like, no way that just happened. It was just perfect timing. It couldn't have been really better to get up there at just the right time. They must have just crawled out of their beds too. And
yeah, you literally just got there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. So were you able to call these guys and some other friends then?
Yeah, I made all kinds of calls. I called my dad, and then my mom, and then I called all these guys. And I was like, well, you guys got to come up here and have pack this thing out. Because I was like probably close to 3 miles in. You can mainly walk on the main trail all the way back in there. But I took a little detour to get up to that meadow, and that was probably the worst part. It was way back in there. And then I started quartering them out, and it was like hours. I was probably quartering them out for like 2 hours once I got them completely done. And I haven't got a call from anybody yet, so I just grabbed one front quarter, put all the other quarters in the head by the creek on some rocks, and started walking back. And right when I get to the trailhead and I was ready to go to bed, I was like, I'll come get it in the morning. Everybody sees some headlamps coming down, and I was just exhausted.
So what time was that?
That was like 10:30.
Oh, really? Gotcha.
Late.
It was late,
Yeah.
and then we ended up going back
They
out
made
that
you go
night.
back in there.
You
Yeah.
called us I was still at work when you called us, and just trying to get off, and then I got everybody together, and we're like, all right, let's head up there. And we met him in like our first meadow that we'd been hunting, and he was sitting there. He's like, I'm not going back up there. And we're like, dude, we're already here. We're going. And got all the way back up there and back through.
Did you give him a piggyback ride?
Oh man, I would have, but I was tired.
I
I think we all went home that night too.
Yeah,
Yes.
we all
Yeah.
drove
So you got
home.
it all done.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
in one night, and
Yeah.
I think we got home at like I remember stopping at Maverick and getting dinner at like 3 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, I
And-
got home. I got home
Sun
at
was
4.
coming
Yeah.
up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was rough. It was a rough night.
That's awesome. It's good to have good friends. It does remind me of a
It
pack out I did one time. I worked till 3:30 in the morning getting this bull out, and it was stupid. It was crazy hard. But I got to get back to my truck, and I was back in my camp, and I'm like, it's like at that point, it was, by the time I was back to my camp, it was like 4 something. I'm like, I might as well just drive back to Lander. I never went to sleep that night. I just drove home. I was like, might as well.
It was,
I'm going to be wasted anyway.
Uh-huh.
Go home, jump in a nice warm bed, and sleep all day or something. But that's cool. So had you guys hunted much before this? Like together?
not really. Years before
You guys were just buddies in high school, and
Mhm.
you all like to hunt, but just
Well-
never really done much hunting together necessarily? Or
actually we did. Not all 3 of us together, but we've gone archery hunting a couple times
Yeah.
Gotcha.
and rifle.
Deer hunting and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but it was always between sports and everything like that, and it was kind of hard to balance.
Because you did football.
But yeah.
Did you guys do any sports in high school?
Just wrestling.
Yeah, just
Wrestling.
wrestling.
Both you guys wrestled. Listen to you guys, it makes me almost a little bit jealous because it's hard to find good hunting partners. Like what you guys have is pretty awesome. Like I said, it's like it kind of makes me jealous that you guys have that group that you can rely on and trust. And
It's nice to have
It
it
is.
Yeah,
have
it's
some
really nice to
backup.
have it.
'Cause-
oh yeah, and I can tell you guys, as an older guy that's been hunting a long time, it's hard to find good hunting partners that are that reliable. So appreciate it and appreciate what you guys do for one another, because that's pretty cool, and it's kind of rare. Like I've had some crazy experiences with hunting partners in the past, and it's like, yeah, don't think I'll hunt with them again. Where they kind of let you down, get you into some scary situations, let you do all the work, piggyback on you basically. But it sounds like you guys have a really good thing going. You 3 and whoever you have coming up to help you. That's pretty awesome, and it's kind of rare. I feel. Do you guys have any like takeaways from the season? Anything that you kind of learned? Anything that was kind of like eye opening?
Well, I don't know. Coming through it, it's like, even though not being successful, learning to appreciate the value of being up there and being able to do it, it really opened my mind up to just seeing how much you can do for something and still not come out with it, but still be satisfied, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah,
And,
100%.
it was amazing. I loved being up there every second of it, and I wish I could go back right now. But
I'd say
it's a
you're doing
little
it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Is what that tells me.
Yeah.
You guys have any takeaways or lessons learned?
Lessons learned and bring a lot of water.
Yeah.
Or a water pump?
Yeah, or water.
Do you guys have any dream hunts? Like if you could go on like any hunt in the world, like do you have one?
Oh, there's too. I don't know. I think there's too many to
Too
pick
many.
from.
Yeah,
all of them.
all of
I
them.
don't know.
Like I've got a thing for. I really want to go hunt moose in Alaska or even a caribou. I think that would be fun.
Moose is probably up there. A
Mhm.
moose would be sweet.
Yeah.
Build
Cool.
them points.
Let me ask one more kind of just generic question. What was your favorite part of the hunt or experience from the hunt?
Favorite part of the hunt was honestly when we were all filling up our backpacks with my elk. We had a little fire right there because it was pretty cold. Everything was wet. And just sitting there, we sat there for probably like 45 minutes just hanging out. Everything was done, just talking. It's just fun being up there when you're around all your friends, really.
Mhm.
It's a blast.
Having your friends with you is
Mhm.
pretty awesome.
Cool
Yeah.
memories.
Like that goes back on what you were talking about with, having good hunting partners. Is when I was, kind of in panic mode when these 2 were gone and didn't show up until, dark. I called 2 other buddies to come up, and they were like, he was saying they were up there super fast. Like, we caught each other at the same time. It was like, what, 8:30 when because you 2 got to the bull first, and then it was 10 minutes after, and it
You
was
were up there with us, yeah.
Yeah.
it's just, appreciate, that kind of stuff. We've got really good help, and I'm very appreciative of it. It's really nice to have.
Did you have a favorite or part of the hunt?
I don't know. I think every night when we'd come back and just tell about the day and just talk about strategy and on what we're gonna do for tomorrow. I really like learning, and it was a learning experience for all of us. I know that, and it taught us a lot about how the elk work. And I don't know if you can really compare elk to a different area, but I think we got a good idea on how to hunt that a little better, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again and do it together again. I think that would be
really fun.
So.
Something else that I learned up there is when you're walking through like the swampy marsh areas, you gotta watch where you step, because there's no bottoms in some of them little tiny holes. There's no bottoms in them.
I bet you're glad I caught you, dude. he stepped over this log and about disappeared into this wallow, and I grabbed his pack right before he fell into it and pulled him out of it. And yeah, he was having a rough time the way home because his leg was black and it was just all wet and soaked. It was nasty up there. It was really nasty, but
that's awesome.
Good country.
That's funny you mentioned that, because Brooks and I were up there later in the season. We were walking through this meadow. We'd seen elk in there a number of times, not too far off the road. And we were on a bull that morning, a herd. They were on their way to bed, and we were kind of dogging them, and eventually they ended up going and crossing the main road down below us, and so we just walked back. And we were walking back, and there's all these big potholes out in this marsh, and Brooks stops, and there was skim ice on them. And he goes, "Dad, that looks deep. This thing is literally the size of this table." And he goes, "Dad, that thing looks deep." I go, "Yeah, here, stick this branch down there." I grabbed this branch. It was like 7 foot long, and he breaks it through the skim ice, and he starts putting it down. And that whole stick went down. He put his hand in. I don't know if he touched the bottom, but it was like 7 feet straight down. I'm like, man, that's I would crazy. Not want to like
fall into that one.
Yeah, fall into that thing. But it reminded me of a sinkhole I found on Green Mountain one year. I was, again, in this kind of marshy area, and it wasn't obvious like that one was. It was just that one was like the size of this table, nice clear. But there was kind of this like grassy plant growing over this marshy spot, and there was this log kind of 4 feet away from me, and I thought, well, if I step on this marshy looking spot, yeah, it's going to be wet, but I'll hurry up and step over on this log. And so I step off of this like grass, and I step onto that little marshy thing, and boom, I like went right to my waist, like that. And I had stepped like this far off of this grass out into that marshy stuff, and then this log was like another 3 feet, and I step and boom, and it was the same deal. My whole leg was black.
It sucks.
I went right to my waist like that. I had to have Brooks like pull me out. But well, guys, I appreciate you taking the time to share that, and yeah, just thank you for doing that. So
yeah, thanks for having us on.
Opportunity to.
You bet. Mm-hmm. Cool.